right action, because that's what we're really working towards. It's like, yes, action is important. I'm not saying it's productive to just go take random action. I'm saying that by gaining experiences and looking at the data, you can inch yourself closer and closer and closer to right action within the problem and obstacle that you currently face. And one of the best things you can do to get yourself to right action is start somewhere. Just start somewhere.
It's so good. It's so good. A lot of times people think taking action is based on what the outcome of that action is. But what you're saying is action is going to be beneficial no matter what the outcome is, whether it's the outcome you want it to be or whether it's an outcome that you weren't expecting. No matter what you do there, taking action is always going to be the right move. On the contrary, Dallas, why is taking no action a bad thing? What are the consequences that come that maybe we don't see with not taking action?
Well, it's the opposite. So no action produces no experience. You live in an alternate reality where sometimes where you just acquire knowledge or information. Going back to that reference at the beginning, you acquire knowledge and you acquire information, which maybe almost tricks yourself into believing that you know a lot, but how much do you really know? I used to say that to high school seniors getting graduated or getting ready to graduate into the real world of, I've never met a population, and by population, I don't even know if I've ever met a population. Maybe the better way to say this is, I don't know if there's ever existed a population collectively. I'm not talking just teenagers. I'm talking human beings. I don't know if there's ever been a population collectively that's existed on the face of planet Earth that knows so much, but knows so little. Meaning we all have information at the forefront of our fingers. I could go research a billion different ways that are productive ways that have worked on how to grow a business. But if I've never grown a business personally through action, how much do I really know? Well, I don't really know shit. I don't. Personally, I don't know. Somebody knew and they shared it with me. But there's this alternate reality that people get into where their ego kind of plays a role in it, where they think they know all these things because somebody else who actually knew those things, right, shared them with them through some vehicle on some media source.
What they don't realize there as well is they know that because of the action that they took and the experiences that they had for following whatever that principle or that guidance is.
Yeah. And so it's a constant reminder of like, if that information is just information that's stored and not used, it really doesn't mean anything, right? So don't allow yourself to fall into that trap of thinking that you actually know when you don't. You don't know. You haven't put it to work. You haven't taken action in those lanes to really have that personal identity that's tied into all of that, right? And that's one thing that I did want to hit on is, identity is actually built via behavior. So that's where identity comes from. That's why action, again, is so important. And that's why inaction is so detrimental, is because in your brain, you might think you're somebody, but in reality, you're really not that somebody, right? In reality, all you're doing is regurgitating information, right? And tricking yourself almost into believing that you're this person. But in reality, who are you? Well, your actions determine that. That's why action is so crucial. And again, inaction can be a pretty scary thing when you just consume or stay stuck in the consumption of information. You can't think your way into being someone. You can't trick yourself into being someone. You can't trick others into, you can get away with it for some time, but it will catch up to you. And the only way to actually do that is to behave your way into that via action, right? And as a general rule, I think that, when you look at growth, the word growth as a general rule, I don't want to say this is applicable perfectly everywhere, but as a general rule to growth, it's either upward or it's downward. And so like idleness, staying idle or stagnant, when you choose to view that as that stagnation or being idle as regression or on the downward slope, right? That's really impactful for you to take action, right? Like it's a reminder to take action. again, like I think of it in terms of like at a simplest form, going to the gym. It's not like you can do all this, take all this action and build all this muscle, and then take 3 weeks off. And so you're good. You took all the action, you took 3 weeks off, you're idle, you're stagnant. So what happened? You didn't stay at that plateau. That's not what happened. You actually went downward on the growth scale. And so that is really applicable in so many different fronts of our life. And I use that as a reminder personally. And it's not so that I can like freaking kill myself and use all my time, energy, and resources into action every single day and literally just like push myself so hard in every facet that I have no energy and I'm depleted constantly. I just use it as a general rule of like gut checking myself. Am I staying consistent? Like, right? Like, am I going down or am I going up? And even if I'm just plateaued, meaning I show up to the gym and I'm just doing the same things that I've been doing, well, at least that I'm not, that to me, that's going up. That's how I perceive that, is that like I'm growing, meaning
Absolutely.
I'm maintaining, that's okay. But if I don't show up and I take a break, and meaning I don't take action of some sort, well, now that's going to be, if that becomes
Detrimental.
yeah, it's detrimental.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. One of the things I learned very, very early in business and like doing business with you and Tyler and everybody else is that stagnation in business and growth, and no matter what it is that you're doing, it really doesn't exist. It really doesn't exist. Your actions can become stagnant, but the consequences don't. The consequences of your inaction do not equal stagnant in growth, right? It's going to be downward. It's going to be downward every time. So you're either, so from what I just got from what you just said, if you're taking action, you're growing. If you're not taking action, you're depleting. You're going downwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So
it's a great
good.
way to view it. It's a great way to just kind of help yourself out, as you reflect on your processes and what's going on.
Oh, good. Dallas, as we obviously today we're talking about taking action despite obstacles. I wanted to ask you, you are the man at taking action no matter what. Whether there's obstacles, whether there's no obstacles, you are a man of action. I've been working with you for a few years now, and that's maybe one of the biggest compliments that I can give you, man, is that you take action, you understand direction, and you take action in a timely manner. You're very good at taking precise action as well, and continuing to take action through obstacles. So Dallas, what is it that you do in your life? Do you have certain things in your life that you do to kind of set you up to take action, even when those times are difficult?
Yeah.
Do you have things that like kind of do that for you?
I really like this question. I really like this question because I'm going to try not to get like too deep and kind of really stay like in this lane here and talk about some habits, but I don't want to talk about the habits without addressing the fact that, and this is something that I've kind of withheld, I think, in terms of like who I am, when people ask certain questions, and I don't want to skip over this part anymore. And that is, dude, like there's a spiritual component to it, we stay so fixated on action and tangible things that we want, that distract us from the becoming part, and so there are some things that I do there, and they're almost like spiritual experiences for me in a sense. They actually help me to connect to like who I am and like you talk directionally, like where's my direction, right? Like where's right action for Dallas? And I think that's a question that everybody has to ask themselves, is like, yes, there's a lot of information coming in, and yes, you're part of this network, right? But like, what's right action for you? Not what's right action, not what's the right action they're telling me to do, but like you get to use your skill of discernment based off your journey. And there's this spiritual component to it that you have to connect to. And so for me, the 3 most beneficial things that I do habitually that have helped me with the question you just asked are I strive to do something hard every day. I believe that builds my spirit up. It builds my physical, abilities up, but mentally, and my fortitude mentally, my strength mentally, and even my strength spiritually in terms of like what I am capable of, what my spirit's capable of, right? My gifts and talents, all those things. I just, doing that hard thing really helps me. It helps me to gain confidence in the obstacle and the opposition and my belief system in opposition and all those things in the role it plays. Winning my mornings has always been a huge contributing factor there. And there's a series of habits that ebb and flow within my morning routine that are have served extremely impactful for me. But I'd highlight one of those there, and that would be, I believe something that has set me up for success in entrepreneurship, business, and my career and my life is I always make it a point to quiet the noise. I always make it a point, not just like after 3 months of grind, but like within the grind itself, daily. I am striving to quiet the noise because there's so much of it. Because again, so many people are sharing their experiences and their stories with me about them and their journey and the things they've learned. There's so much to garner and gather from that and take action on as it's applicable to me, but I need to know how it's applicable to me, right? Like I need to know where I'm at. I need to know what matters to me. I need to know my priorities. I need to know my prerogatives. I need to know my mission. I need to know my whys. I need to know, my lanes and where the needle is there. It's nobody's job to tell me that, right? Like it is not any of my business partners that I've had throughout the course of my career to tell me that. It's my job, right? And I tap into my own, sources and fonts of inspiration on a personal belief system level and faith. Like, dude, I need to know for me. And that's an invite I'd give everybody is you need to know for you. And so for me, these three things have really served impactful in relation to the question you asked.
No, dude, those three things are very impactful. And I love how you framed that guidance, that it does look a little bit different for everybody else, right? It does look a little bit different, but those three things for you have been huge. So just to review those again, we're talking some actionables here that you can implement in your day-to-day life that can kind of help you build up this sort of not necessarily immunity, but this conditioning to when obstacles do come in your way, that they don't stop you, that they don't throw you off rails, that you can continue to chase down those obstacles and attack those obstacles, right? Like the book of the month this month is Obstacle is the Way. So you talked about three things: doing something hard daily. So choosing an obstacle and going after it. So choosing to do that. Winning your morning. So building habits also is a fantastic thing to do when trying to set yourself up to be that person that you need to be to take down these obstacles that pop up in your way. But one that I want to hone in on, Dallas, is quiet the noise. The last one that you talked about was quiet the noise. And I want to talk about this one just a little bit more, because we're talking about taking actions despite chaos, despite obstacles. And what you're saying to do right here is, even when there's obstacles, even when there is chaos, to take time and quiet the noise. Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because, dude, those are some big decisions, right? We talk about taking action, and then like the purpose of taking action is so that you can take right action. And I think that with today's episode and focus, that's what we're all really trying to get to. And that's why action does matter. But staying stuck in action is a problem in and of itself. Because if you're not taking the right action for you, right? Given your circumstance, given your journey, given your gifts, given your talents, given your situation, given you uniquely positioned in the world with your experiences and all these things that trickle down in that same sub list there. Well, then again, not to contradict what we just covered, but action can almost be a problem. You could take all this action
And it not be in the right direction.
And you could wake up 10 years from now and be completely miserable. And that's the truth. Because I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there where I took all this action thinking that something was a prerogative of mine, a priority of mine. And it was somebody else's. It was somebody else's priority. It was somebody else's prerogative. That was problematic. And I took a ton of action, right? I am a man of action. But we have to be careful to not allow that to be detrimental to us. And I think that is the key is quieting the noise, because some of those decisions, as you get better and inch closer and gain more, right, knowledge, more experience, more options, more opportunity, you got to be careful, because if you take action in the wrong area, well, that can create a lot of problems in the future. And so for me, yes, I take action, and I definitely learn by trial and error a lot. And it's important to take action. Any action in a certain area is better than no action at all. It gives you experience, coming back full circle. But like, the reason and the purpose I'm taking that action in those areas is because at some level, it seemed like the right directionally, it seemed right, because I quieted the noise and thought and prayed and whatever my system is, right? But the end goal is to continue to move closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and further and further and further into right action for me and what my life is providing me. And I think that, that should be the goal of everybody.
No, dude, it's so good. We think of quieting the noise and we think of the book title, Obstacle is the Way. It's in those times, dude, from what I'm pulling from what you're saying, it's in those times of quieting the noise, despite the chaos, despite the obstacles, that the actual obstacles that you need to address will show themselves. The actual obstacles that are meant for you to address. The obstacle is the way that you should be headed. When you quiet the noise, those obstacles show themselves to you, right? They come forward to you and like, oh, that obstacle is for me. That's an obstacle, but that might be the obstacle that's meant for me. That's an obstacle to get there, but might not be the obstacle that I need to attack or I need to address, right? So it is important for you to take that time, quiet the noise, look at all of the obstacles that are in the way, because the chances are it's not just one obstacle, but figuring out what obstacle is meant for you. What obstacle are you meant to chase down that's going to push you, that's going to help create you into a better person, but also the obstacle that is for you because you have that skill set to be able to overcome that obstacle, right? So that's what I'm getting from this. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding correctly, dude, that once you quiet the noise, it's really just going to show you the obstacles that you need to chase down, because the obstacle is the way.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. And it also helps, with ownership of your life. It helps because, again, it is nobody's job to make decisions. This is something that I found out some hard ways. And that's why I really care to teach, develop, and train people regarding these things that I'm so passionate about. Is I learned some very hard ways that, like, it is Dallas Pruitt's job to decide what is right for Dallas Pruitt. It's not somebody else's job to come in and give me answers, right? And so when I quiet that noise and I decide for myself, that increases extreme ownership in my life. And it also weeds out excuses, right? And it weeds out blame, and it weeds out all these things. And gosh, it's liberating and freeing to live that way. And I just,
you either choose your obstacles or someone else will choose them for you, right?
Or somebody else will tell you, and you'll just be like, oh, yes.
Okay, because I'm a man of action, right? Because I'm a man of action, I'll jump in and I'll do that
exactly
because that's yeah, exactly. But it's important to pick those obstacles that are truly the way for you, right? What you just broke down is exactly why the book title is called The Obstacle is the Way. It's because when you willingly choose those obstacles, you are so much more open to the lessons that those obstacles can teach you, right? So no, dude, I love it.
Okay.
And that's truly where you find that growth, is in that obstacle.
Oh man. That path journeyed, right? The path least traveled. It's weirdly freeing and liberating for an individual to go that route. And a predecessor to being able to choose that route and thrive within that route is just quieting the noise. It's like, quit listening to everybody. There's a million voices out there. And that's one thing that I highly encourage everybody that's listening today is there's a million voices out there. There's Jackson and my voice, and we're sharing with you our experiences. We're sharing with you the things that we know, and doing that wholeheartedly through experience. And there's a lot of other people too telling you how you should live your life, what you should invest in with your time and your energy and resources and everything else. But like, man, they haven't lived your life. They're not where you're at. Do you know where you're at? Or do you live in la la land thinking you know all these things when your experience is not in alignment with what you say you actually know? Because the acquisition of information and understanding at that level is very different to the level of understanding and actual know that comes from doing something. So, yeah.
So good. Dallas, as we wrap up here, first off, thank you for sharing everything that you shared today. So impactful and so enlightening. When it comes to like chasing down the obstacle, and the obstacle is the way, attacking those obstacles. So again, just a reminder here as we wrap up, the three actionables that you can be doing in your life right now to help you get ready for when obstacles do pop up is choosing to do something hard every single day. Win your morning, stay disciplined to your morning and stay disciplined to that routine, and then quiet the noise regularly as these obstacles pop up. Because again, the obstacles are going to show you the way in which you need to address them and attack them to overcome them, but also show you the way into becoming who you need to be in order to take down those obstacles. Powerful, powerful stuff from this episode today. Dallas, is there anything else that you want to add as we wrap up here?
If you haven't freaking read the book, my hell, that's part of it too. Is it's like, we're talking about the book and I think we're acquiring information right now. And it's just like, there's a higher level of learning that comes from following the framework of the book. There's a higher level of, learning and just so many impactful things that happen from instilling the habit of reading to lead in your life. That's what I would close with, is like, don't continue to just take our word for it on this resource. Freaking dive into it. Make it a goal of yours to complete it, whether that's audio or reading it cover to cover over the course of the next, 60 to 90 days. Do that. That would be my invite. That'd be the only thing I'd add.
So good. Dallas, thank you, my man. Thank you to everybody that is listening. Please tune back in again on Monday for the Daily Trips with Dallas, Friday on the Aloha Fridays with Tyler. We're very grateful for all of our listeners. Please don't forget to leave us a rating and a review. There may still be a feedback form in the description. Click on that, send us some feedback. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the podcast. And again, please do share, rate, and review. We appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.